Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Aric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails. Aric Manning and Joel Hatch.
All right, welcome to a special edition of the Trail Manners podcast here in Silverton, Colorado, the home of the Hardrock 100. We are just about 3 hours into the race, 25th year if I am correct, and we're going to do a little roundtable, something we've talked about doing, something a little different. So this is Aric Manning on mic 1. On mic 2, we have Jeff Hart, who is a veteran to the show.
Hello.
Mic 3, we have another veteran to the show, Harrison Fluman.
Good morning.
And on mic 4, second time, which is, I let her know as a veteran.
Runner-up veteran,
Breein Fluman. So this is kind of totally off the cuff. We just saw the start. We've got out on the course. So we're just going to talk a little bit about Hardrock and Silverton area, especially for people that have never been out here. Because people that have been here kind of have an idea, right, and has their own thing. But we're going to let people from across the land, from Guantanamo Bay to Peru, to
the Suez Canal,
to Iceland, and everywhere in between. We're going to talk a little bit about Hardrock. So, as we mentioned, it's in Silverton, Colorado. The course this year is what direction? Is this the counterclockwise direction, is what they call this one?
No, this is clockwise.
This is clockwise. Yeah. I don't know what a clock looks like, apparently. It seems like it's counterclockwise, but I guess.
Well, because you're looking like when you walk out of the high school, if you go left, that feels counter, but.
It should be. So it's the clockwise, but for the sake of this episode, no, I'm just kidding. It's
through
the clockwise.
Town or through the statue. That's how I memorize it.
Yeah.
You've always had a digital watch, haven't you? Yeah.
No, it's calculator watch. That doesn't count.
Okay.
I need to add stuff like Slurpees, but so they're going that direction. So they cross that quote unquote river crossing first or early in the race, and then they head that way. But we actually got out on Grant Swamp Pass yesterday. And out to Ice Lake, Island Lake, nice little tour that Jeff took us on. That was nice, right? I mean, everybody had a good time?
Yeah.
And Grant Swamp Pass is no joke, right?
Yeah, it's got a pucker factor.
Yeah, that's what we decided to call it, a pucker factor. But the course itself, the vibe, let's start with that. The vibe in Silverton, Colorado. Jeff, you've been here for, 4 or 5 days already?
Yeah, I've been here over a week now.
And Jeff ran it last year and finished in
40 hours and some odd minutes.
So, we'll round down to 39 hours. And,
I'm okay with that, but it was 40:09.
And Breein and Harrison, you guys have been out here. This is your third or fourth year in a row, but you've been out here more than that during the race, right?
Super fans.
Yeah, super fans.
Yeah.
And this is my second or third time here. So let's talk about the vibe, right? Because we come off Western States, which is huge, and all the media and everything else. Hardrock has its own feel to it. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So what's, for you guys, Harrison, Breein, what brings you back, because you haven't run the race, what brings you back every year during the race time, as opposed to like 2 weeks from now or 2 weeks earlier? What brings you back during the racing time and foot?
I just like the spectating, seeing all the people that come here to get out in the course. I mean, I put in for a few years in a row, kind of debating on whether I should or shouldn't put in, but I don't know, it's just a good low-key vibe as far as the race goes.
It feels like family, even if it's not the same people, even though it is often, but it has a maturity factor there.
Yeah, we've got a lot of folks from the Ogden area that run it every year, so it's kind of nice to see the people that you see on your normal trails out here doing it, so give them some support, I guess. And
then it's like you mentioned, is you see some of the same people every year, right? And this is like where you see them, whether it's like for me or something like a Scott Jaime, a Justin Ludwig, right, or something like that, Ludwig.
Oh, yeah, he's a riot. Haven't seen him yet this year.
Yeah, but it's like you see a lot of the same people every year.
Yeah.
And so as we've noticed the last 2 days since we've been together, like Jeff, we stop and we just see people that we hey, so you're here for Hardrock, and it's if you're a runner, that's pretty much why you're here. And they've got a huge ATV thing going on. But what about you, Jeff? What's kind of what brings you? Because you've done Western and you've done Hardrock, so like the big difference between the two.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
And so what's the Hardrock Silverton feel for you here?
So I ran Western, and like you say, it's an amazing event. It's an amazing atmosphere around it, and it's vibrant and friendly. I mean, it's friendly, but it doesn't. Yeah, I haven't put in for Western again.
Yeah,
but I'll keep putting in for this one as long as I can. I don't know. So I think Breein hit it with the family. It feels like family here. It's just. I've been here for a week now this trip, and I'm flying solo. And so if I'm done running for the day or done doing the trail work, I just come and walk down Main Street, and within 5 minutes, you're running into somebody that you haven't seen for a year or you haven't seen, and you just pick up right where you left off. So yeah, it's really nice. I just love being here.
Now, do you think it has anything to do, which in my mind it does, but it's probably a question. So Silverton's a small little quaint town. It sells out all the hotels, the places to eat. We came across that with breakfast. So do you think the fact that people come early and it's kind of the main start-finish, it's in the same location, all the tracking's done in the gym, and you look at another race, and we'll just say Western because it's what people know as well as big race. That one, it starts at Squaw. It's a little bigger area, and you're spread out more through the woods. And then it's like as soon as the gun sounds, it's scatter zoom, right? But here it's like people still hang out. Then you got U-Ray Telluride. You're back here for the finish, so it's kind of like just the hub.
Well, and you've got a lot of people that come up early to acclimate.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere to sprawl. I mean, if you're sprawling straight uphill, and I don't know, this town is just cool.
Yeah, it is. And like we saw, like Dakota Jones and Claire Gallagher and Lucy Bartholomew out on the course yesterday. Courtney DeWalter's here that's not running the race. So it still brings that quote-unquote big name, I don't know, presence, I guess. And they're just, it's easy to see and access people here, too, because they're here, right? Yeah. So does that add another layer of this is fun to be here?
Yeah, no, I like the people watching too. I mean, not like I would really go up and talk to many of the quote unquote superstars.
You're
whatever,
like me,
but,
yeah.
But it's nice to, I don't know, it's just fun to see who all comes out.
Yeah,
it's a lot of the big names that you just mentioned and more that we probably don't even know that are here.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I just saw Jason Coop this morning. We saw Jamil Curry out there. We had the fortune of having breakfast, and Turtle Miller sat at our table. Mm-hmm. So the big names are here.
Right.
Sealed
it. His trash bag looking camper.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know. His 9-year-old's like a charm bracelet. It's like having a puppy with you, and children.
Yeah, and there's a lot of the puppies.
There's so many puppies.
Wait,
that's one of my personal
Turtle's
favorites.
The puppy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure because I agree.
And the course itself, I mean, we're sitting here in a little pavilion, but you're just surrounded literally by just big mountains.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
It's intimidating, right?
Oh, it's just giant. That's the other thing. Like, there's a lot of places around that are really, really beautiful, and this place has the intimidating high mountain factor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's majestic.
Well, even when we got out yesterday, I mean, it wasn't like considered a long run. But you get up high, and then you can still get higher. And even when you're the highest point, like we were doing shots like 15,000 feet.
For 16er.
16er. Yeah, we're doing 16ers.
Okay.
Felt like it.
That's what it felt like, for sure. But then you look over, and there's something higher right there. And you're like,
I didn't know 17,000-foot peaks were here.
I didn't either. It's 17. It's like, I think NASA needs to name that one, right? You're getting into that, sending a monkey into a spaceship.
And it really is one of those things. Like when the first time I was out here with you, with Scott, and he was pointing over from Oscars, and he kind of has that, you don't know whether he's serious or not, like kind of smart-ass but straight-faced.
Pokery.
Yeah, and he pointed over towards Grant Swamp. He goes, that's where we're going. See that game trail? I laughed. I actually thought he was joking.
He was serious the whole time.
Yeah, and he waited at the top and saw me ugly cry as I was coming over everything, and I'm like, so I'll keep it clean. I can't even believe that somebody said, yeah, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
This is a race course.
Well, even like you said up at Grant Swamp Pass yesterday, and it's so dry. Like this year's a very dry year. Like there's no snow, and we got up Grant Swamp Pass, and just that first little, 30 feet from the top, it's just like on ball bearings. It's like super slick. The dirt's dry, so that was scary enough for me. Like,
and Jeff just mountain goat down that thing.
Jeff took off. He's been watching about a killion videos.
Right.
He's like, I'm gonna crush this, and I'm up there sliding. Literally, I have like shrapnel in my bunghole from sliding. I'm like, well, these shorts are done.
Well, we found you new shorts, and you did not take those.
Yeah, they were on the side of the trail.
They were white.
Yeah, they were white. White's not in season right now. I think that's why they were there.
Piping. They were fine.
Blue piping. But the good thing, too, the funny part is, so we're on Grant Swamp Pass, and Breein met new people. Why the three guys here, we were just kind of being unsocial people, and she's hanging out, and then a couple girls come up the trail. And we're talking to them like, oh, yeah, we said Fireball and all this stuff, and these girls are like, we just ate some edibles.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
And we're stoned.
They're starting to freak out a little
and
bit.
we're freaking out.
Yeah.
They had that panic look on their face.
Because they had to figure it out.
We don't know how we're going to get down from here.
Exactly. And so by the time we got down to Island Lake, we looked up, and they were still at the top sitting on the rock. And I'm like, God, they might be there for a while. Because that first stretch is spooky.
Yeah.
I think it's easier going down than coming up, but I think they felt like fortunate to get up there as stoned as they were. Going up was okay. Going down for me, I got a little nervous because I'm the type of, when I go down, I like to grab a tree. There's nothing there. And all those trees there.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this could end poorly or not. And fortunately it didn't end poorly. And that's just all over the course. Like all three of you, I've got a small amount of experience, handies and a few other sections, but the three of you have a lot more experience on the course, but that's kind of the course, right? I mean, you're going up, you're going down, you're going up, you're going down. It's not, and then the runnable parts where we were talking about this yesterday that are kind of flat, you start running and you're like, I'm tired because you're up at 11,000 plus feet. So nothing is easy. Like the runnable sections, what we'd consider, are not runnable.
Yeah. Most people don't live at that kind of altitude to adapt. So they douchebag grade.
Yeah, DB grade.
Yeah.
Because, Jeff, you come from sea level, or like 5 feet.
Yeah,
right?
5. Well, 10, 15.
I would totally put that. That sounds so cool to me. It's like, I'm at 10 feet. I'm like, sweet, you're basketball hoop size.
I think my house is at like 250. I don't know.
Okay, so you're legit. So you're getting up there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for you, it's a big difference.
This year I came out to do the trail work because if you do 2 days of trail work, you get an extra ticket in the lottery for the next year. So those trail work days started last Saturday and Sunday, so exactly a week ago. And I left Bellingham and did a 15-hour day driving, and then from Utah, stopped and saw my grandson. And then from Utah, did a 6-hour day to get here, and immediately went up Cunningham Gulch up to Little Giant, which is, like 12,000 something, and suffered miserably, kind of stumble around, can't walk straight because I'm dizzy. And then didn't sleep for 2 nights because I couldn't sleep at 9,300 or 9,500 feet. And the trail work those first 2 days were miserable. It was awful.
Yeah.
I just felt like just dirt.
Well, and that's, I think, the fear for a lot of people, because Breein mentioned this morning, there's a lot of flatlanders that get into this race, we call them. I mean, we're at, close to 5,000 feet where we live, and we can get up to 10 pretty easy access, like Ben Lomond or head up to the Uintas, but I can't imagine what it's like for those people. I really can't, especially those that can't get out here and acclimate 2 weeks ahead of time.
That's why I feel bad when I whine, and then I sit and look, and I'm like, wow, they've done Hardrock X amount of times, or I want to know how they feel, or maybe they don't know. I mean, if you don't know any different, then maybe it's just.
I don't think I could have done it last year if I hadn't acclimated. I probably would have dropped. I don't know. I mean, it's just based on how this week and the short runs up to maybe 10 or 12 miles that I've done this week, they just feel so much harder. And it's not getting easier, and I've been here a week.
So Breein, you have a medical background. What, for the altitude, for people that aren't, what kind of things can they run into? Like if they're not used to the altitude, because there's some serious things that can happen. It's not just, I can't breathe. I mean, it can get serious quick. But what are things that people medically can go through with altitude if they're not used to it?
Well, so it's it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. I used to think that Utah wasn't considered any high altitude, and we'd get people all the time that come in there from sea level to ski and whatnot, and typical breathing problems. But you can get like HAPE and HACE, where they're life-threatening conditions. Swelling's common, dizziness is common. That's fatigue, overwhelming sense of fatigue. But yeah, that's why I sit and look at people who climb Everest and all those sort of things. It's your body just, we weren't designed that way.
No.
Sherpas were.
Well, Sherpas are born that way. It's like we were born to run barefoot.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we're supposed to run barefoot, but we don't for whatever reasons. But yeah, it is a serious thing, right?
It can be, yes.
It affects people differently. Like for me, it's just like a sumo wrestler sitting on my chest half the time, and then like Jeff mentioned, you kind of walk and then you can kind of see yourself like your right foot goes too far to the right. It's not you're like walking in a straight line. It's still going forward, but it's kind of angular, which could be bad up here.
Well, and I think everybody remembers their first time getting above altitude and going, whoa, that was weird.
Yeah. And
like that feeling.
It's like, wow, this altitude thing, it's real. It's not something that I just read about.
And it almost just flips automatically. You like 500 feet lower, you're like, oh, I feel pretty good. And then you go a little higher and you're like, whoa, wait.
Something happened.
Something switched.
So we were talking about this earlier, like the front runners. So we went up the road to where the road hits the trail, the single track, to kind of see people coming up. And it's fun I'm fresh off of 55K in Beaverhead, where the 55K had like 250 people and the 100K had over 150. And so my math would serve close to 400 if I'm
Sounds right.
I'm at altitude, so you're going to have to slack. And it's early in the morning still. But this race, it was like, here they come. And it's like, that was it.
There they go.
It's like, what, 100 and, what am I,
140 or so.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Like, it's not a select few get into this race. So you guys have been around. All of you have run a lot in a lot of places. I'm not saying like, oh, you've done Western and Hardrock, but you've been beautiful parts, Wind Rivers, the Dolomites. You've been all over racing.
Wait, where?
Yeah,
Dolomites?
No, we'll not bring that up right now. But you guys have been everywhere and you've done a lot of things. What are people that haven't run here? What can they expect, right? Or people that, and probably part two to this, and everybody can answer is, if someone wants to get into Hardrock, what kind of advice would you have? Even though you two, like Breein and Harrison, haven't run hard, you've been here enough, and you've been to hard races, and you've been to hard places of running, right? So, it's not like you have to be a pro to run a race. But, like, what can people expect that have never been here? Why should they come here? And then about the race itself.
That's a good question.
It's what I'm truly a graduate level race. I used to hear that when I'd hear about Hardrock, and of course being like, wow, yeah, that's pretty. And all the, you hear about the elevation change and whatnot, but it truly was. It was coming out here and getting on the course, and I'm like, wow, that's actually what that means. That's it. Some of the people that I'd known that had done it several times, but I'd never been here, it actually changed the way I saw them. I was just kind of like, this presses the hell out of me.
I think it's hard to know until you get here, and I obviously haven't run it. I put in for it, but the first time I was out here was maybe 5 years ago. I don't know, something like that. And I put in, I think, that year and didn't get in, and before I'd seen the course, and then I did 60 miles in the course, and I said, oh, I'm not going to put in again.
I think that's a good question. Why? Why would it switch like that?
I think you need, for me at least, I needed a lot more experience, and I had done a couple hundreds, but it's a mindset shift of the amount of time you're going to be out here, and I wasn't very experienced in mountains, not like in general, and especially not mountains like this. For me, I had to get more comfortable with weather and the possibility of a lot of snow on the course. So with me skiing now, and I've had some more experiences with severe weather, that gets me a little more comfortable with what you might encounter. Then I was kind of like, well, maybe I can do this.
Maybe I could take lightning on handies.
Well, I'm just saying, you just have to get comfortable with a lot of
different things.
Yeah.
Well, and like a lot of races, you look at the weather forecast, you get a general idea, and it's not like weather forecasts can't change. We all know that, but we know from even being Wind Rivers, Uena's, Jeff, I know you've been to a lot of high. This is like, you could get a monsoon. It's not like it's going to rain. This could actually just be ridiculous. I know the stories, Adam Campbell with lightning exploding his headlamp, being trapped on a mountain where they won't let you run. I mean, those are things that come out of nowhere, really.
Well, and mountains create their own weather system. And I kind of knew that on skis, but it's a lot different getting off of a mountain on skis than it is getting off a mountain on foot.
Well, and the rain, because of the rocks, can get slippery.
Oh, yeah.
Can add so much. I mean, just yesterday, again, we'll go back, Grand Swamp Pass, if it was pouring rain and dark, that would be terrifying. I know people say, I'd like to be up here in dark because you can't see where you're going, but at the same time, that's that added factor of, well, shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I slip right...
If I slip, does this go?
Yeah, if I slip right now, is there something down there going to catch me, like a lake?
Eventually it will.
Something
will catch you eventually.
Yeah. Earth catches you eventually.
Yeah, I mean, gravity's a big deal, So, and I think you hit it, Harrison, is some people will run in areas and go, oh, man, I'm signing up for this race. This is rad. To me, this is one of the few races that can pose the opposite.
It did that way for
and
a few years.
And it's done it for me.
I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm not mentally ready for it.
And it's not I don't want to run here. Like, I enjoy it here. I enjoy going up Grand Swamp Pass. I enjoyed going up Handy's. It was amazing because it was a 14er. But, yeah, I mean, now you're linking them all together, and you get X amount of time. So it's like, this is cool, but I don't think I'm ready. And I don't know if you're truly ever ready. Even you talk to some veterans that have been at it 6 years, and they still have that. No, this is actually a race that if you do it 10 times and finish 10, you may not finish 11 with all the experience. It's just that's the type of race it is. Well,
and seeing Tom Remkes yesterday.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think Tom Remkes had fear. I mean, that man, he has I fear nothing all over him. Yeah, he's nervous.
Well, he's finished this 6 times.
Yeah.
Wasatch lots of times. And
hurt.
He's like again, we'll go back to Ogden, guess where from. He's a legend in Ogden, but quietly.
Yeah.
He's not on social media. If you'd see the guy and talk to him, you would never know what he's accomplished. But he'll start Hardrock. He's probably right now on the tracker at 90th place. And his fitness-wise, he's still not there, but he says. But through the race, he'll end up finishing like 20th. Stuff like that because he just is a grinder. But yeah, it's the same. I mean, it brings that. You never know. You mean Jeff? You know Jeff List pretty well, and he's finished it how many times?
I think he's finished 7th.
7th.
I think he's going for his 8th.
But it's not a guarantee when you talk to him.
And if you and he and many others this week that I've chatted with, you ask them, so what number are you going for? And they're like, well, this is my 9th start.
Yeah.
They don't say I'm going for my 9th finish. They say this is my 9th start. They're very genuine in that. You don't ever have this sewn up. It's never sewn up.
Well, it's not I don't know, the vibe with the runners seems a lot different to me than most any race I've ever been to. You know what I mean? Just with the runners, it's not super giddy. It's not a billion selfies at the start. It's more somber, because I think it's that fear, but that healthy respect, right?
Nothing seems to be taken for granted.
Yeah.
Nobody predicts their times or their.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just want to finish, and they actually that is more true here than like other races. Like Breein, you talked about like sandbagging. It's like this is not they genuinely mean it. The first place person very easily could not finish. You never know, and we say this with all races. You never know what's going to happen. But to me, this race more than any, and obviously, there's other races out there. I don't want people to get the wrong impression, but I think the history of this, 25 years, the people that do it, and then just the elevation and because there's like the bad waters that's super hot, and Western again is a different realm, but this to me just seems like it's kind of on its own little, flow chart, so to say, of what can possibly happen.
That was another thing that before we came out that last time, of course, I was looking at Hardrock qualifiers because I'm like, oh, yeah, I want a Hardrock qualifier. And I did. I got a Hardrock qualifier. I didn't put in because I came out here. I'm like, oh, no, I'm so not ready for this. But when I started comparing Hardrock qualifiers, of course, you have to have qualifiers that are accessible for people. I couldn't think of one that matched this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you call it a qualifier, but if I, because I ran the bear, does that mean I can finish this race. No. I mean, I understand the need for a qualifier.
Well, just it's like
quote-unquote qualifier.
It
but
prepares you maybe better for it than another is all.
It's a little disingenuous to think that I don't know, the word qualifiers kind of implies that you can do this.
Yeah.
But
you finished that, come on over.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we'll let you try to come over, and then after that, it's completely up to you. And before breakfast this morning, saw a friend. She came up and we started talking, and her husband's running, Chris Lumberger, and he's an amazing guy, and he's running, but he looked pretty dialed, like pretty mellow, and he's a pretty mellow guy. But she was saying, like, she gets emotional at the finish line. She's like, I cry. Not just for him, but just runners come through. And it just seems like this race more than ever. Like, Jeff, I'm sure you'll find, but we were walking down the road, and you're like, this is where I started crying last year.
Yeah.
And it was before the finish, and he's like, I don't cry, but I was crying. Then we were talking about Scott Jaime. It was his 10th finish last year, and how he came to the road and hugged his father-in-law, and they cried for a while together and hugged. It's like this race really it really humbles you, right? And you're grateful. Like when because I imagine at times, Jeff, you're mentally strong, you've done a lot, but I imagine times during Hardrock last year you questioned at times, right? You're like, oh my God, can I really go?
All the time.
Can I really hit mile 15 today?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And,
but like,
no, seriously though, because last year when I came out, I went up one of the first climbs, and like we're saying, like even let's talk about yesterday's hike.
Yeah.
Up Grant Swamp Pass, which is not one of the biggest climbs in the race, but you think you're there and you're not, and then there's another rise, and each one gets harder and harder the higher you go. And so, it may be 4,000. I mean, we probably only did 3,000 feet of elevation yesterday. I don't know. But it felt like 6,000 anywhere else because you're above 10,000 feet. So it's intimidating, and I just can't. I still can't get my head around it, and that doubt does creep in, and I'm not very strong.
Well, I think you are. I mean, you've done a lot of amazing things and impressive things, but I think this race, it tests you more because there's more of those low points, and you know what's ahead. It's like usually you hit a race, and it's like, okay, all the climbing's done. Right?
Yeah,
at mile 50. All the hard stuff's done. Here you're like, the last climb is like 5 miles to finish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just different mindset.
It never ends, and even it wasn't until that last downhill into Silverton where I was like, oh yeah, okay. But Grant Swamp Pass going, counterclockwise last year, that was where I kind of thought, okay, I might actually finish this.
And what mile's that?
That's like 82 into the race. That's where I got to the top of that, which is hideous. Climbing up Grant Swamp Pass is just this gravel slide. But at the top of that was the first point where I'm like, yeah, I think I might actually make it now. I've got enough hours that even if I have to hobble, I can make it.
And that's at like mile 82, right? And so there's other races that are hundreds, and you get past, I don't know, I'll say 50, but you get further, like, oh, I can walk it in, I can make this. But this one, you truly, you don't take it for granted until really you're kissing the rock.
Yeah.
Really,
Well, that's what's funny. Like Tom yesterday when we were talking, he was asking where we went yesterday. I said, well, we went up on Grant Swamp Pass, and it was good. There's no snow up there. Basically the same. It's unchanged. He goes, that's unfortunate.
And it's, I don't know, this race to me is, never done it, been there a few times, but it's just so, like, I'm just pumped to be here and to watch the people start and see the looks on their faces, of that just unknown is just totally amazing. The
other kind of amazing thing, I just wanted to toss this in, because to me you can sense, like, the tension and everything, but to see those who actually are veterans once they're out on the course, treat it like a playground.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Because they kind of know what's where and they know where they're at, right?
Yeah, there's a certain comfort level. Just
as far as that goes.
Yeah, as far as that goes, yeah.
And so the people, and I'm sure there are people like it, but you think of the people that say it's their first time and they haven't seen the course, right? And they might see maybe pieces, let's say that. But if you haven't seen this whole course, it could be I can't imagine how mind-boggling that could be. Because I've run races where I haven't seen the whole course, but you can get a pretty good idea, blogs, elevation profile. But here, it's something completely different.
Well, the one place I haven't seen on the course that everybody hears, actually, have you been at Virginia's?
No.
Neither have I. But to hear, like,
what it's like.
Well, and people describe it, and yeah.
So what is Virginia's like, Jeff? You've been
so
on
going up counterclockwise. Last year it was a climb out of Ouray, and a long slog up a jeep road, a dirt road, which you would think,
okay, Harrison has too.
Which you would think would be, unspectacular, but this is a jeep road that has sections that are literally carved out of the rock. I mean, so they had to carve it into the side of the cliff to get it up to where it is. And then you get up into these basins, and you just keep climbing one basin to the next basin, and you keep thinking, oh, I'm there. And then you see the Virginia's Pass, and it's another maybe 300 or 400 feet of what looks just dead vertical.
And that's Kroger's Canteen. Is that the aid station?
Kroger's Canteen, okay. Yeah. And they fix a rope on the counterclockwise side, the Ouray side. And last year there was snow. I guess this year there's no snow.
Yeah.
So they're just climbing up. It'll be another Grant Swamp Pass maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think there was snow the year that we did it.
How was it? The same as like scree-ish and loose?
Yeah. It's a little bit. I mean, you kind of have some sections where you can take a breather, but it's definitely loose, and you're just amazed that they actually have an aid station up there. Like when I did it, there wasn't an aid station, obviously, but you're just amazed that people actually are up here for hours and hours.
And the aid station is
such a spectacular position.
Tiny, and they almost have to get you out of there because there's not room for.
Yeah, they're all wearing helmets and they're all kitted out, and you can hear them offering shots to people when you're down below, and you're still 20 minutes away, but you can hear and see it, and they're like, "Come on, screw you, I'm coming." Step, because I think it's at like 13.7 or so. It's really high. So, yeah, it's a spectacular place. But then you get there, and then they're all fired up. They're like, "All right, let's get you out of here."
Well. And they're geared up that way, not for just a few hours. Like when people volunteer at races, the hundreds and I'm sure 200s are different. They do shifts. Those guys are up there for days in that situation, helping out these runs. It's just so cool to me.
And Kroger's is the aid station where it's kind of the Hardrock veterans are up there, right? It's not like it's almost. I know Rock does it every year, but it's like if you've run the race, and it's like the next prestigious point is working at Kroger's Canteen.
Well, last year, so Rock welcomed me into the aid station. Jeff Browning helped me sit over on one of the kind of portal ledges, the rock climbing portal ledges they use on cliffs, which is, one of the only places you can sit up there. It's not a very big place. And Scott Jurek is the one that filled my bottle. So it's like, you don't get much more pedigree than that. It's like,
can I get some selfies, folks?
Yeah. And I had no idea Scott Jurek was so tall. He's a pretty tall guy. So it's like, yes, you're 60 miles into a run or whatever it is at that point. But there's a lot of ultra crushing going on.
It's like who's who of who, right?
Yeah, and those are just the three that helped me. There was more that are up there. It's amazing.
That's pretty cool because it brings back a lot of the people year after year, and it's interesting to see too is the people that are in quite a bit. They'll come just to hang out as well. It's like they want to be a part of it. They know what it's about, and they're just as accessible and just as fun to be around and talk to as anybody, really. Because we've seen them. We've seen a lot of people. We haven't seen everybody. We're like, oh, they're here. Oh, they're here. People are stalking me, and it's just really weird. Some of the. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not stalking anybody, for the record.
Of course not. Of course
not.
For
the record.
I did see somebody running at you this morning, screaming your name, trying to hug you, and you're like, "Hey, high five."
Hey, you. How are you doing?
I don't
they
know
met Aric with an E for sure.
I think they mistaken me for somebody. I have my glasses on today, and so people were doing a lot of double takes. Oh, hey! So I think he just mistaken me for somebody else.
So what? Now you're Waldo?
Maybe. I've been called worse, so I don't know. It's it's pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, what kind of? And I say advice because I still believe, even though you haven't done, like I've never done Western, I've never done Hardrock, but I still believe that the advice can be given, right? And so at a Hardrock, people that are interested in doing this race, Harrison kind of touched on it, is I got to get more under my belt. You know, it's a graduate. You say it's a graduate level race. Is that what is that the word you used?
That was the first thing I had told to me. Somebody,
Okay.
I don't even remember who said it, but I was inquiring. It's back when I was stalking Barkley too, and somebody had mentioned Hardrock. It may have even been Lori Burleson that kind of presented the idea, and I was told, and it was somebody who'd run it said, no, this is truly graduate level race. And you know what? I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, until you came out here.
Yeah.
But so what kind of advice, and I'm not saying these are like race strategies, but to get to the point where you could do Hardrock, I mean, what kind of advice would people need if they, hey, Hardrock's on my list, it'd be cool, but maybe they haven't been out here? Because it's not, like for us, we're, 7 hours or 6 hours or whatever, but someone's like 20 hours away, they've never been here. What kind of things would you tell them to say, hey, if this is something you want to do, this is what I would recommend with your experience of being in the mountains?
I guess just to expand on what I just earlier said, but for me, I had to get more comfortable with weather. So the only thing that's gotten me a little bit more comfortable and not being completely scared to look at these mountains have been, we spent some time in the Wind Rivers, the Dolomites, situations where I'm uncomfortable has helped me a little bit to at least get my mind around maybe running this race if I ever get in. That to me has been the biggest thing. And I've also the snow. So I learned how to ski. I'm more comfortable in snow. The idea that, because if you see some of these climbs, descents especially for me, and even if you're out on a year that there's not a lot of snow, you've got to imagine, in my mind, I put myself in that position, if it's nighttime and there's snow on the ground, could I get down this?
Yeah.
Like, am I comfortable with this? And that to me is what you've got to get your mind around. But I've never, obviously, Jeff probably has way more experience, but that to me is the only thing that helped me even be able to put in for it. So
start doing big climbs. Just, I mean, if you, like I moved to Bellingham and I moved from Utah, so I had mountains where you could, climb to 10,000 feet. And, outside of my house, there's a mountain that maybe goes up to 3,000 feet. So, I might be able to get,
the vert.
Yeah.
It's still a 3,000-foot climb, though. Still a 3,000-foot
yeah,
climb.
But that wouldn't be a continuous. I mean, I might be able to get 2,000 feet in one climb, but you're really searching for that kind of climbing. So, my go-to was like about 1,000 feet.
Just repeating
and I just
that.
go and doing repeats. And really, like, yesterday's 3,000 feet felt like doing, 6 repeats on that 1,000-foot. I mean, it feels so much harder. So you got to go out and do that. Yeah. I mean, I knew I wasn't in Hardrock, and, so I've been doing maybe 10,000-foot weeks for, a couple months now. And I would just get eaten alive right now, just eaten alive, if I tried to do the race. So, yeah, I mean, that's really, and get out early. I see people do it. I mean, people come out, get here on Wednesday and run today.
Yeah, 3 days.
I don't know how they do it from sea level. That'd be miserable.
Well, it seems like a lot of the good,
So get out early.
I shouldn't say good, but I know in history, with a lot, especially the people that are winning this race, they're out months in advance, really. I mean, Sabrina Stanley this year was out here 2.5 months training.
Awesome.
We knew the year Skaggs crushed the course. He was out here all summer training. And you see more people doing those type of things, and it definitely can pay off, but not everybody has that opportunity. Like, I couldn't do it.
Well, and I don't think I would be in any position to give advice. However, I think as I look at people who do this sort of thing, mountaineers, people who have a mountaineering background, absolutely, that's kind of where my mind goes. And, like, it's fun to see. Well, like, you hear Jared Campbell, he does grandeur repeats all different times a day, and he's big on that. And then it's fun for people that we know around our area that we know we're doing this race, like Shane and Tom, of course, and we're going up and down Maylands doing repeats because it's accessible right in our backyard, and we're seeing them.
Yeah.
And
Maylands is about a 2 mile to the top from the bottom, and it's about 2,000 feet. So
yeah.
It's about 1,000 foot, but it's some pretty heinous climb. And I don't know, Harrison, you've done like texted me before. Like, I'm on my 5th one, like 5 in a row. So that's 10 miles, 10,000 feet, and that's a buster, right?
Yeah, no, to get ready for a different race, but I think the climbing and the long climbs and long descents, the repeats probably doesn't help as far as with the longer climbs, but it's the only thing. It's close by. It's the only thing I can think of to really do that. As far as steepness.
Well, and yesterday, so we're up there, and I came off Beaverhead last week, and I couldn't I felt tired, but I was like, is this the miles from last weekend, or is this the altitude, a combination? Because it is. It's not just breathing when you get the altitude. The blood doesn't get as much juice to your pistons, so you're feel sluggish, right? It's not just you can't breathe. It's just like you feel like, man, I should be maybe climbing pistons and quads.
I thought you were going to blame the coconut liquor and then dismiss the fact that you ate a meat stick.
Like a Slim Jim. Let's be clear. It was a Slim Jim. Little pepperoni type thing.
Right.
I don't eat normal food.
I like the meat stick description myself. I thought it was really kind of...
The marmots were watching.
I lost it after
coconut
the
90 proof was all
true.
the blame.
The blood to the pistons, that was good too.
You know where I was coming from.
Kinda.
Oh, yeah.
But people do. I'm trying to mix it up.
My mind wandered after that one. So.
I looked at some blank stares. Come on, what are the listeners doing right now? Looking for satellite radio?
Looking for blood.
No, they're talking about meat sticks and blood and pistons.
Well, we saw marmots kind of...
they were getting blood to the pistons.
They were enjoying the moment.
Yeah, we saw some marmots up high. But so let me ask you this. Like, here's what I thought about yesterday. I don't find myself afraid of heights, right? I'm not, like, when someone says, you afraid of heights, I generally say no. I'm afraid of falling, but I'm not afraid of heights. If you're afraid of heights, this course would almost cripple you.
It'd be a hard pass.
I am actually terrified of heights. Except for skiing. I have to put that qualifier in there.
You're kind of a bomb skier.
Well, the thing of it is, so this is a beautiful thing. It's kind of like the only reason why people who don't ski like snow is you don't have to do yard work and it covers everything up and makes it all smooth. It puts a blanket over everything. So I don't see where my skull's going to bounce off of, really. I mean, I don't know. It's a different mindset. It's why I really, one thing I would love to do in life, but I'm absolutely terrified of it, rock climbing. I love watching rock climbers.
I thought you were going to say swim with the sharks.
Mm-hmm. No,
That's the first thing that came to mind.
Do you want to swim with sharks?
No.
Oh, okay. Let's not do that.
I don't.
But I just it's this strange sensation where everything just goes numb from the waist down.
Wow.
I've had those before.
Yeah.
Because you took Viagra up there with us, and Jeff didn't know why at first. He was confused.
I took it.
I'm so lost right now. We're talking about numb from the waist down, and Viagra has come up. I can't concentrate.
Viagra does come up.
I keep repeating in my head, blood to the pistons.
Yeah. I'll give you a T-shirt that says that. But, yeah, so Jeff was with us yesterday, and we're walking up everybody takes some mini bottles. Breein's got a paper bag full of mini bottles of different types of liquor. I took a coconut liquor. There was some Jack
coerced,
Daniels,
Mom.
There's only one Fireball.
Oh, no, there's 8 in there.
It wasn't in the bag.
Oh, yeah, we bought the 10-pack.
Oh,
well,
not
you
with
hit
us,
them.
though.
You hit them.
I would have done a
I
Fireball.
did it to my new friends.
Yeah. But so we had mini bottles, something else in bag. Jeff was kind of in his head going,
Yeah, you offered to bring. Yeah, I've got Viagra too.
Mini bottles. Just
what have I gotten myself into?
Where am I going here? What do you guys do?
I waited a solid 2 hours to explain the Viagra.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So it was bouncing around in his head quite for a while.
I kept a little distance on the trail. I either tried to stay way ahead or way behind.
Well, this is a good thing. For the people out there, why did you have Viagra?
Well,
I mean,
a few years ago, I had a sports
reason
medicine
left
friend
over from
who shared an actually reasonable article. There's not a lot of great, except for Everest climbers and stuff, not a lot. At least I haven't checked recently, a lot of great research on issues with altitude, pulmonary edema, that sort of thing. Well, the first time I ever got above 12,000 feet, I ended up coughing up blood. And so I was looking for something, but I thought,
That's the problem with your heart pistons.
My heart pistons.
There you go.
They have too much blood in them.
Too much blood.
Man, this is going to have some legs.
And I thought, gosh, this is bad, but I'm not climbing Everest. I don't need Diamox. I don't. So anyway, it was suggested to me to try Cialis or Viagra because it can have a positive effect on, and it works. I didn't take any yesterday for the record, but it actually works. I've used it several times.
I did. I couldn't sleep all night.
I have not had pulmonary edema. I've had pulmonary edema that one time, and then on the edge of it another time. And since I've had that, it's worked for me. I don't know if it works for everybody. It does have side effects. I've never noticed them.
But what is like it just layman's term? You know, it
keeps the blood from not going into your lungs to cough up. It decreases the edema.
Okay.
It shifts some things. So.
And you mentioned Diamox earlier. Is that a transformer?
Yeah. No, it's another drug that is utilized a lot for people going on high altitude climbs
like an Everest
to prevent. Something. So they don't get haste and hate. I mean, nobody wants to be evacuated from Everest or any of those really high altitude.
I got pretty damn tired. I might be like, come on, let's do this.
It's like one of those like, so you don't die. Yeah. It's not to make you feel comfortable. This isn't Tylenol.
That doesn't have effect on me anymore. But again, not a lot of quote unquote science for it. But I've heard of people for doing that for years, like quite a while. Like, hey, I've got some just in case. But it's not something that's like, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling good. I'll take it now. Is it something you have in your system? Like, it's either you do or you don't.
It's preventative, and it's actually it's a lower dose than most men take for the intents and purposes of the drug. But yeah,
so not the whole 10 milligram?
No, I don't.
Is that really the dose?
Yeah.
Not the whole pack?
Nailed it.
To be honest,
I don't really know anything about Viagra, I swear.
Sure.
So whatever the full dose is.
Just like putting it in his pocket.
This is terrible. I don't even know that.
You got a refill.
I don't either. Okay.
It's what?
Whatever the full dose is.
It's half.
It's half.
I just thought of my allergy pill that's a 10 milligram, and I thought, that's probably, so I just...
Goes by size.
So if you're not here, Jeff did allergy pill in quote. No, I'm just kidding. air quote, allergy pill.
Yeah.
No, and I'm curious. I honestly, since I encountered that years ago, that article was sent, I sent it to my doctor from another sports medicine doctor. I can honestly say I don't know if any more research has been done on it, and I also don't know if it works for everybody. I just know it works for me, and I love being up here. So if it were that would be a limiting factor, and I don't ever want that to be a limiting factor.
Yeah.
And no one else in my family experiences it. It's hit or miss.
Have you done it in races or just when you're out in the mountains?
I've never raced above 12,000 feet since Pikes Peak.
Yeah, I'm curious if it would inhibit or alter your performance. You know, would it I don't know.
I actually don't know.
You're running.
Maybe you should write a paper.
No, I'm not. No.
No?
Do some research.
Do some research.
We can do some...
There's some people up there. I think they'd be happy to do some research.
Yeah, some R&R, recreational research.
Uh-huh.
So, Jeff, the course itself. Okay, so it's Silverton. You go either clockwise or counter. I'm reeling us back in. We're getting away from Pistons, Viagra,
blood to the Pistons.
Furry tunics. We're getting away from everything. Inside joke. Breein just spit lemonade. But you got Ouray, Telluride are kind of the big stops for the course, and Silverton, obviously.
Yeah.
What's the vibe when you're out on the course at the aid stations? I've been to the big ones, but what's the vibe like on the course? Is it electric, even at the aid stations?
Yeah, the aid stations are pretty big. Grouse Gulch, which is a pretty easy drive from Silverton, was big. Lots of people out on the course. Last year it was at mile 42. This year it's 60. Well, what's the opposite of that?
68.
38. I don't know.
I'm just throwing numbers out.
I don't know. Whatever. Now I'm lost.
5 milligrams.
Anyway, it's big. Ouray's big because it's in the city park. It's right in the middle of town. And I was there at, maybe, sometime after midnight, 2 or 3 in the morning, and there were a lot of people around. I can only imagine that going this direction, it's going to be even bigger because people will be hitting it in the daylight. And then you have the more remote ones. Sherman is pretty far out. If you don't have a high clearance vehicle, it's 3 hours to get there from here. You can't get there. You have to go around the whole mountain range. And it's still an hour and a half if you do have high clearance. You basically take an hour I went with Rick Trujillo, who's won the race, but kind of leads the trail work days, and he drove over the pass, and he did it in an hour and a half, and he was moving very fast. So you would have had a great time, Breein. You'd have loved it.
Yeah, I've learned to hop out on those, and I also learned that strangers offer you the best candy. Ryan Locke and I were running over a couple years ago, and two-wheel drive truck, bunch of people, 2 kids in the back, offered us tequila and beer on one of those passes where I jumped out of the car because I couldn't handle
That's not candy, though.
It's debatable.
It is to
They didn't give you airheads? Oh, and
no, they didn't give me airheads.
I was turned on to airheads. Is that what they were, right?
Yes.
Yesterday. I've never had airheads. And I had watermelon and cherry airheads. Those are good.
Mystery flavor.
I'm going to work on that one.
Mystery flavor. I have one left in my pack. Mm-hmm.
That's the Viagra flavor.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing natural about it.
That's
nothing,
what's mysterious about it.
Out of this world.
It has never been experienced in this world. There's nothing in. Anyway, Sherman, it's out there. Even though it's a long drive, it was, well manned. Every kind of food you could imagine. But some of the better ones were the little ones out on the course that are harder to get to, where crew and pacers aren't allowed, and you don't have access. I really loved the Pole Creek pole line aid station. They packed everything in, so everything they've got, and they had tons and tons of avocados. So someone had packed in all of these avocados, and I ate my body weight in avocados.
That's awesome.
So they're great. The aid stations are amazing.
Well, and another flip to the I don't know, the scene out here, so to say, is your lodging, right? So there's a lot of VRBOs, a lot of B&Bs, not a lot of hotels type stuff, but they sell fast. But if you can't get a hotel, we're staying at Moloss Lake, and Jeff, you're doing just like a what they call primitive campsite type stuff.
Yep.
So there's a lot of places you can stay. Whether you pay, do you pay where you're at?
No.
So
yeah,
you can do it for free.
Yeah, you just pull up and so. I hesitate to say it's a secret. Just like Silverton, it's terrible here. Don't come.
I'll GPS mark it, take pictures, and post it.
Yeah,
so
Mineral Creek, Mineral Creek Road, which goes out towards that ice lake and the island lake that we've been talking about, and goes out towards the KT aid station, has dispersed camping along the road, and a couple of organized campsites, but they're not pay sites. They're just they don't have any. There's nothing out there. And last year we drove up and down that road and found this one spot by the river that's secluded. It's nice, and it was open this year too. So
snagged it.
Yeah. So I've just been out there for almost 10 days now. Just
sleeping.
Yeah,
working.
Coming to
Is
town.
it 14-day limit out there?
It is a 14-day limit. Yeah.
That cracks me up every time.
Now with going back kind of to the course itself. Coming this time of year, what, like Breein Harrison, since you guys have come here this time of year for multiple years, I don't know the best way to say this, is there like an interest to come another year in first part of August? Or is this kind of where if we're going down there, let's go during Hardrock?
Honestly, we've booked lodging because he's put in every year, so we booked it around this time to see whether he gets in or not. I love this town. I'd come here. Really, I'd come here anytime, to be honest.
Yeah, the race just kind of gives us the excuse
to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the extra push forward.
Yeah, because you get to see some people you don't normally see or only see here. So.
And had we planned it earlier this year, like because you're not getting in. The roads were closed due to fires.
Yeah,
it was difficult to access.
It's touch and go this year. We had the fire a month ago that really had everybody questioning if the race was going to happen, and then.
Last week,
a couple weeks after that, the road from Uray to Silverton washed out, and it's still only single lane. And then earlier this week, there were mudslides that crossed the highway and the railroad, the narrow gauge railroad from Durango to here. So earlier this week, there was literally one lane of traffic coming into Silverton.
And then that messed up the trail where you were saying because you did trail work, they almost had to reroute the course.
Yeah,
they were trying to think of because the Forest Service no, you can't use it. It's not going to be used. And so they used like a reroute or a loop out and back. There was just ideas flowing out, but then the course did get taken care of by people like you did that part too, right?
Yeah. So they had an extra trail work day for individuals who were. I don't know, quote unquote, highly qualified. I think what that means is people that had boots, pants, gloves, long sleeve shirt, and helmet.
I would have been out pants.
And
no más pantalones.
the blood just left my pistons. I can't. I'm not. No.
Or do they go into the pistons? I don't.
Yeah. So when the Uray Road washed out, it also washed out the Bear Creek Trail, and they only came to an agreement with the Forest Service on Monday that we could use the trail for the race, but other than the race, so other than today, you can't get on that trail. And we went out with a quote-unquote select group of people on Tuesday and moved a large amount of rock to make the trail passable.
And usable for race day, basically, before they probably can get in. And
you would not, I mean, I can't believe, I was there, and I can't believe how much rock we were able to move and how much better we were able to make it. But the reality is the next flood that comes through, the next hard rain is going to wash it all out
like
again.
A patch until they can get in. And
there was a section high on the switchback, so it's only a mile, maybe a mile and a quarter from the trailhead of the Bear Creek. And you do these switchbacks, and there's one up there, and you can see that they have built it up and worked on it. There's rebar that's completely bent out, and 1-inch pipes that are completely bent over from the cribbing and the rock barriers that they've put in to maintain the trail, and it's all just completely gone. I mean, it's gone. So, they were looking at doing an out and back. They looked at going into wilderness, and the Forest Service was like, absolutely not. And the only other option was to go up the highway, and that was not within the character of the race. And so the race directors all right, I mean, this is hearsay, but they were like, no, that's not. We're not going to do that because that's not hard rock.
Yeah, I like that though. I like keeping the integrity of what it is, and I understand there's races that have to do those last-minute changes. There's things you can't control, Mother Nature, but I like that. Hard rock is hard rock, man. It's
wild and tough.
Yeah, that's the motto.
Mm-hmm.
Wild and tough, and pistons a-blowing.
I know. I can't even imagine these miners. These miners that thought, I'm going to drill holes all over this place, and I'm going to mine things.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, and there's road. We're in a valley. It's a beautiful valley right here, and I feel like you could mine right there and right there, right there. No, they chose up there and way up over there.
Rounded down in that one.
And when you're looking up there into that basin, and you think that's the highest basin, no, there's one higher above and behind that too. So
that's just as high as you can see without hurting your neck.
That's
well,
right.
They
Yeah,
have
right.
Nice gear and helmets,
canteens and Buddha bags, and
if you drive up the road here past Grouse Gulch, you come to Animas Forks. So, and if you haven't been up there, it's worth a drive up. You can get up there in a reasonable car. Actually, I think I've seen Priuses up there. So,
Prius and they're a reasonable car.
I think so.
Did you drive yours up there?
No, I'm a former Prius owner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Reformed? I don't know what that means.
He's got a Subi. He's an Ogden. He's got to have a Subaru now.
Yeah.
He put studs on the Prius for 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. But so there are houses up there from when they were living up there 130 years ago. And from, October to April, sometimes May, they're completely cut off from the world. I mean, there was no way in, no way out.
No internet.
Up there.
Internet's down.
Well, I mean, they were at least on like a 14.4 modem.
Right, dial up.
Facebook, slagging, having to reboot, seeing the same posts all the time.
Those miners out there just putting Facebook posts out.
Selfies with, whatever they're mining. Poor bastards.
You just look up on the side of the mountain, you see cables went across there.
Yeah.
People died doing this. I mean, you know that from history, but you look and you're like, yeah, I could see that.
But it's cool when you get up in these hills and mountains and see some of the old structures. It's super neat, though.
Oh,
it's like you totally feel this instant connection with history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not an upgraded condo. This is like beams and wood and
there's some cool ghost towns. In fact, that
free hugs and everything else up in there.
I missed the ghost town.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah. Like on the San Juan solstice.
Yeah.
Coming over from Lake City, that ghost town's
it's just
completely
cool.
intact and really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. this area. So let me put you guys on the spot, and the people that answer first, and I'm not going to go in any order, but the last person to answer gets a little more time. If you could pick 2, I'm going to give you 2 is all, and you can't do 3. It has to be 2.
Roundtable.
Yeah.
Why did you look at me?
I don't know. Sorry.
You used to do it.
It's been called out.
And you wonder why I'm socially
Thanks, Dad.
inept. I'm looking at, why'd you look at me? I don't know.
Is this like you bringing back? Remember, you used to, the podcast the first few you had like that
round table, like lightning round.
Lightning round.
Yeah, it's not the lightning round. It's similar to it.
2.0.
I don't want to say lightning too much around this area, but
we're low.
Your 2 Silverton, Hardrock, this area, this whole thing. What are your 2 favorite things about it? 2, you get 2 favorite things, and we've talked about so many, but like if you could pick 2 things that would keep you coming back here, and why it means so much to bring you here. What are your 2 things? Not everybody at once.
Okay,
Harrison's
I'm just going to go. Yeah,
you can't
just
change
from
it.
Our last few years here. I like where we stay. So I like Molass Lake
campground.
I like the fact that you can get on the course if you want to, but we're right on the Colorado Trail, so we can not be on the course if we don't want to be.
Okay, that's 1. And that's like 1A, B kind of.
Okay, what was the question again? The delay.
2 favorite things about being here. Like, why do you keep coming back?
I guess the second one would be, as far as the race goes, I do like to see the people that in Ogden or the local people that you see that run the race every year.
Okay.
I just like to see them in a different environment, and that's fun to me to watch that.
Okay. Who's next?
Is that 2?
That's 2.
Right.
You're done.
Thank you.
I love getting up, and we were just talking about kind of doing those rises, getting up into a basin, going to a basin beyond that. I love getting up into those basins, and everything is green. You're well above tree line, and the flowers are everywhere.
They were popping yesterday.
Yeah. And so you're running in this kind of knee-high growth of green with a field of yellow flowers, or, every color. Yeah, red, blues, and
yellows.
just yellows,
purple,
and blue.
There's some white.
There were white.
Yeah, a lot of colors.
Yeah.
You're shouting out colors.
I got it.
Purple.
Purple. Lalo.
Stroke it out a little bit.
So, just running across those meadows, just going through those basins, and the lakes that sit in the bottom of some of them, and yeah,
so that's
the terrain.
The terrain. So short answer, 1, terrain.
Yeah.
Not train, like Train.
Is it the band or the locomotive type?
Yeah, he means terrain.
All right.
What else? What else is it about here?
My number 2?
Or, just number 2. We don't need your number 2.
Well, give me a minute. I need to work this up. I don't know. How hard it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I hate that I'm this way, but I'm drawn to things that feel impossible.
That was exactly what I was going to say.
Breein's like, you're taking mine.
Bingo! Anything from the road getting in, the $1 Million Highway. There's roads that have, like Beartooth Highway, a few of those that you're like, wow. And so just everything from getting in here to the endless amount of trails, and honestly, there's the fear factor, and it's not even just like the trails. You can be on it one day, and you're like, what happened to you on this? And having to watch the weather. It's all the different factors that I enjoy teetering that line of doing something that absolutely scares the shit out of me to, like, jaw-dropping views. And then all these towns, Lake City, Silverton, they have the coolest people.
Yeah.
They're just nice. It's rare to find an asshole around here. And I know that there are. They exist everywhere, but it's
Why
nice.
are you looking at me?
I was looking at you, wasn't I?
So is that 1? What was the answer there?
There's
that
a
was
lot
1,
of
2,
You
and
mentioned
3.
fear factor.
I heard
like
fear
TV
factor.
show.
I heard roads.
I had to spin a 3 in there because
A-holes.
I was being looked at.
Yeah, imagine the first miners that drove over that highway.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
in their Prius.
Yeah.
I said, this is the place.
I think I said that line over the $1 Million
Like,
Highway.
where are we going to recharge our car here?
Yeah.
Any place
Imagine
that
those
makes
settlers
me...
that first drove this road.
Yeah.
How long was that extension cord?
Any place that makes me scream vulgar comments they're nonsensical when I see what's going on. I want to go back there.
Okay. I think
that was like 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah.
I went last, so I got more. He even said so.
No, I never did once ever say that. I looked at you when I said 2.
You may want to rewind this. Hit the rewind on the recorder.
Yeah, okay, that'll work. I think for me, I'm going to answer my own question because I can do
Aric,
those
what do you
things.
think?
Well, it's funny you asked that, Harrison. I would say, honestly, one, I was talking to Jeff about this yesterday, this is one of my all-time favorite places to run, even though I've only been here very few times. And it's the terrain and the scenery. So that's one. Just beautiful. It's breathtaking. It's green. You don't know what you're going to see around the next corner. It's different, whether it's the turquoise color of a lake that just bends around a corner, or if you turn a corner, there's a waterfall. The color, we saw the salt deposits, marmots getting their game on. You never know what you're going to see. So I think terrain and that. And then number 2, I've never run Hardrock. I would never even put myself in that bucket, and I mean that like when they say you're a Hardrocker or whatever, it's like that's a different level. But the camaraderie I feel with every single person down here, even the people that have done it 10 times and the people that have never done it or the first timers, it's just that camaraderie because even if you haven't run the race, you know what they're getting themselves into. You know what they've had to do to get to this point, and so it's like this. I'm invested in every single runner I feel like out there. Like when I see a drop, I'm going to feel bad. When I see people finish, I probably will get emotional at some level because you just know what it takes to do it. And so that camaraderie, you feel like there's a lot of ATVers here, a lot of tourists, but when you can tell the quote-unquote running community. So you're walking down the street. You may not know them or you've never seen them before, but you just look at them, you kind of head nod. It's like, yeah, this is cool, right? And even for someone like me, I feel like I fit in.
Well, and people on the trail yesterday inquiring.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's so incredibly nice, but I mean, yeah, the camaraderie. I guess that's probably, you nailed it. And it's fun to see who pulls through in one of those faster Hardrock times in it, and they have had some fast Hardrock times. But one of the coolest things to me is the person who pulls through after 2 nights.
That runs down the chute like sideways because they can't run straight ahead. I mean, we see that a couple of years ago. There was someone that came through that looked absolutely like car wrecked, just like I'm going to finish. And and that's, again, I always go back to the podcast, but everybody has a story and you don't know what it is, And so when these people that finish, from the first person to the last person to the people that don't finish, they all have their own story on what it took to get here. So whatever that sacrifices they had to make, the meaning is, that to me draws me in. I'm like, because I do that, I'll look, I'm like, man, I wonder what they've had to go through to get to where they're at. Because sometimes we talk about, sometimes you're gifted at things, even this trail running stuff, and some aren't. Some work harder than others, and some, not that people don't work hard that are fast, but I mean, some people just, it's harder, right? And I know you're covering the same mileage and the same terrain, and I know running faster is extremely difficult and it's hard and sore, but it's just, you just don't know their day-to-day lives on what it took to get here.
That's funny because more than anywhere else in the running community, particularly the ultra running community, there's nowhere better to come to make you feel like you are an imposter or a poser. Because I come here and I look and hear what everybody else has done, and I feel like I should not be here. I am an interloper because I have not done those things. I don't have what you have. I don't have what it takes. So if you talk about that mental toughness, that's one of the things that I struggle with when I do come here is that, boy, I just don't feel like I deserve to be in it. I don't feel like I have what I see other people have.
Yet there's not that elitist vibe.
But I never I never feel judged about it.
Yeah,
but it's purely my own internal psyche says, well, you shouldn't be here.
Well, it's like I said earlier, it's like I want a sticker, the Hardrock sticker they're selling in the gym for my ice chest. But I'm like, I don't want people to think I've done it. I don't want to be a poser. I would never insinuate I've done Hardrock, but it's iconic. And I'm like, I'd love to put a sticker.
I've done it, and I still feel like,
but
I'm cautious to wear my Hardrock gear around because I'm
like the one you have on right now.
I mean, well,
That you just got today?
Let me just take my
You
coat off
removed
here.
a lot of rock for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely,
Yeah.
That's
earned.
No, I earned this one, but
No, I mean, but it's...
But you know what I mean? It's.
I feel that way a lot.
I mean, how do you compete with, Kirk Apt, who's going for his 24th finish, has 23 finishes, and how do you compete with people that, you're sitting there and you're talking to them. Oh yeah, I've done what? Oh yeah, I did Western, 10 times now. Oh, I've done Wasatch. Yeah. Which year? Oh, that was one of the years I met. You never know what people are going to say and what they've done and.
But I think I hear what you're saying because I feel that way, but I mean, everybody at this table has that, right? Everybody here has done something. I don't care if it's, you've done Hardrock, obviously you've done Western, but you've done a lot, that last bake. You've done a lot of things, so there's people that will look at you that way. But
which I just think is weird.
You're right, but you're saying the same thing, but you're kind of, it could be twisted just as easy. You know what I mean? Because
I guess you could, I guess, I'm sure I don't recall feeling this at other races as much as I do here. But I'm sure that even at like a 10K, I'm sure there's probably people at 10Ks that, I've never run a 10K.
Yeah.
I'm not part of this. So maybe it happens everywhere. I
think it does, and I think it might be exaggerated more. I don't mean that in a bad way, at this level because of the distance, right? And even the course itself. But, I'm looking at you three sitting here, and I know you well, so I could name things you've done that people would go, holy crap, that's so cool, and they'll pick your brain for it, whether it is a Wasatch or a San Juan Solstice or running around the Dolomites or whatever else. Everybody here's doing something that other people don't think they can do, right? So you're kind of in that category, but it's super easy for us to spin it the other way too, and say, man, I look at Jeff, I'm like, how do you finish Hardrock? To me, that's cooler. Again, this is my personal opinion. That's cooler than finishing Western States. And I know people think the total opposite, but just the type of thing I enjoy, this is like, to me, the race.
I also don't think you have to have experience to appreciate it. And the only reason I just thought of that because it's something that's missing. It's Bill Duper.
Oh, yeah. Perfect example. Bill's... Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, the Bill Duper film, and he's going to do it, and when's that coming out? But yeah, Bill Duper.
Somebody's working on it.
Yeah, Bill Duper not being here has got to be, again, I'm not here every year, but the people that are used to seeing that's got to be a missing part of this experience.
There were people last year marking the course who haven't run and don't have an intention to run. The people working on the trail, working days that, and there are people all over town who are not runners but are invested in the community. So and no, I haven't sensed any kind of judgment other than my own internal, inferiority complex.
I got a book for you.
But
I have the same book.
You're
clearly,
welcome.
No,
I needed this book.
But you're right. It's like everybody is a part of it on some level to make it the way it is. It can't be. You look at it this way. It's like if you've run the race, that's a big part of it, but without the people behind the scenes, and I don't mean that bad, but doing the trail work, doing the tracking, doing the volunteering, during the aid, it's not possible for them. So, it's this big encompassing thing, right?
Yeah,
to make it happen.
I'm going to jump in right there. So I'm pacing Jeff List, who's going for his 8th finish, and his wife is here, Kelly, and she's been helping out in the kitchen, and she washes dishes, and she peels potatoes. She's been working all week and will work through the race. And I sit there and I think, oh, my gosh, I'd rather run 100 miles through the mountains than peel potatoes for 2 days.
That's punishment in the military.
That's so torturous. And yet, and for what? For maybe a T-shirt. For some, it's not, she's not doing it for anything other than to be a part of the community. And so, you don't have to be a runner to be part of the Hardrock community for sure.
No, I agree with what Jeff says a little bit with not feeling like you're on the same level. And the reason why I think that is I think this race teeters on the edge of trail running versus the whole mountaineering thing, which I'm not a mountaineer. So I think to know people that have done this multiple times, I think it's just a different level. And it's a different skill set, too. I think it's a different skill set than some other races that you can maybe better compare yourself or others to. But I understand what Jeff's saying. I have the same feeling when, if I were to ever get in, I wouldn't feel deserving of it, even though I'd still obviously attempt it.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a different skill set and a different sort of person that excels here than other places.
Oh, for sure. It does take a different, not to say you can't or get there, but it takes a different thing, I think. And that's why I still am like, I don't know if I want to do it.
I love seeing a lot of the older starters. I mean, that's fun for me. I feel lucky. I feel lucky that I can be out here doing these things on my feet, and yeah, I admire those who have done it, like you're 8, 10, 20. But it really is. It's fun to see how many people have started with this that many years ago, and then all the young. I mean, I wouldn't have even thought of taking on something like this as some of these young runners that are. I mean, and they're magnificent.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry about
See
that.
that smile on your face. Just,
yeah, thank you. All right,
well,
thank you. Pat myself on the back. I love when people talk about me.
I'm older than I look.
Thank you. Thanks again for that one, too.
Blood was flowing to your pistons.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's going to be the Piston show. But yeah, I think overall, the Piston show.
That takes place at a different venue.
So you're gonna have to listen to the show to understand that. Like if I just said the Piston show, you'd be intrigued. People would be intrigued, and then they'd probably be let down at the later.
And they're still going to be confused once they listen to it.
I haven't been confused one time with it, but we've talked about a lot of things. But yeah, I think it's just a fun weekend. I'm excited to see where they're at on the course. We were kind of watching the tracking. I think people should have got out a lot faster. I think it's slower pace this year than it should be. I don't
hit that road harder, huh?
I don't think they're attacking the climbs like they should. Get the hard climbs out of the way early.
And let me just publicly say, sorry, Liz Bauer.
Oh, yeah.
I was just kidding around. I hope you know that.
Yeah, Jeff, she was the last one to hit the single track, and it wasn't like she was behind. I mean, everybody's bunched up, all 140 people, and Jeff's like, "Come on, you got to go sprint,
go!"
On the ground, fist pumping.
Yeah.
Watch the video on the Trail Manners Facebook page.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
But I do know Liz. We've spent a few days hanging out. So.
And so she's faster.
No, I just know that I'm pretty sure she knows I'm joking.
She's saving it for the end. That's
she
all it is.
didn't attempt to cause bodily harm.
No, she didn't. And she's a wonderful person, and she's run this many times, so she knows what she's doing.
She's just watching everybody. She's like, we'll see you guys in a little bit. I'll bring tissue for your tears. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. What happens with the race. It'll be fun to kind of hang out and get more of the vibe. But yeah, thanks for taking an early morning. It's early. We woke up at 5 and came to town, watched the start. Had some questionable meals. Had some garlic salt pancakes with a little bit of potato and chive.
I had a special menu.
I had some waffles off somebody's finished meal. And
Jeff
bacon
made
off
out
another
like
one.
a bandit, yeah.
He cleaned it up.
Yeah, he's like, I got this. Yeah, it'll be fun. I just want to say thank you all for not only doing the round table, but letting me have the experience of going up to Grant Swamp. Some of my favorite people. So it was a good experience for me to go up there. So thank you very much.
It's such a beautiful place.
It is.
It's terrible. Don't ever come here.
Yeah. It's a shameless. Stay away. Do not take my sleeping place, please.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you where it's at.
I'll take care of that. Yeah, but thanks for coming on, Breein, Harrison, Jeff. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Right on.